Here is one quiet truth nobody warns you about. The people you love most, your friends, your partner, your children, will not always be beside you. Not because they stopped caring, but because life pulls everyone in separate directions. Children build their own worlds. Friends grow distant. Partners leave or pass away. And one night, in the silence that follows, a question rises that most people are never prepared to answer. When everyone is gone, what will hold me together? Today, I want to share 4 things that give true peace in old age. Not theory, but lessons drawn from real life. I once met an old man at a railway station in Rhine-Davern. He was sitting peacefully feeding birds. I asked him, "Baba, where are your children?" He smiled and said, "They are busy building their lives." I asked, "Don't you feel lonely?" He laughed softly and replied, "No, loneliness comes when you expect someone to fill you. Peace comes when you learn to be full." That sentence stayed with me. 1. Inner stillness. In old age, silence becomes louder than noise. The body slows down, conversations reduce, and the world that once demanded your attention suddenly moves on without waiting. At this stage of life, the greatest companion you can have is not another person, but a peaceful mind. Inner stillness is the ability to sit with yourself without feeling restless, afraid, or empty. Most people fear loneliness because they have never befriended their own thoughts. When external stimulation fades, unresolved emotions begin to surface. Regrets, guilt, anger, and fear start speaking at once. That is why inner stillness is not a luxury in old age. It is a necessity. I once met a retired government officer who lived alone after his wife passed away. His children were settled abroad. Initially, he filled his days with television, news, and phone scrolling. Yet the more noise he consumed, the more anxious he felt. One day, he decided to switch everything off for 1 hour each morning. He simply sat quietly, breathing deeply, observing his thoughts without fighting them. At first, it was uncomfortable, but slowly something changed. His mind became calmer, his sleep improved, and his fear of being alone disappeared. He told me, "I realized the problem was never loneliness. The problem was my untrained mind." Inner stillness comes when you stop running away from silence and start entering it consciously. Many elderly people keep themselves constantly busy, not because they enjoy activity, but because they are afraid of stillness. Yet stillness is where healing happens. When the mind becomes calm, memories stop hurting and the future stops frightening you. You begin to live in the present moment, appreciating simple things like sunlight, fresh air, and quiet mornings. Practices like meditation, mindful breathing, prayer, or even silent walks help develop this inner stability. These practices are not religious requirements. They are mental hygiene. Just as you bathe your body daily, you must clean your mind regularly. A peaceful mind does not mean absence of problems. It means the ability to remain balanced despite them. In old age, when people come less often and calls reduce, inner stillness becomes your shelter. It gives you emotional independence. You stop expecting others to entertain you or validate you. You start enjoying your own presence. And when you can sit alone without feeling lonely, you have achieved something most people never do in their entire lifetime. That calm becomes your strength, your comfort, and your constant companion. 2. Acceptance of life as it is. One of the hardest lessons life teaches us is acceptance. Not acceptance as surrender or helplessness, but acceptance as understanding reality without resistance. In old age, suffering increases not because life becomes cruel, but because expectations remain unrealistic. People expect the same health, attention, respect, and control they once had. When life does not meet these expectations, frustration grows. Acceptance is the bridge between what life gives and inner peace. I once met an elderly woman who had lost her husband and lived alone. Her children visited once or twice a year. When asked how she managed emotionally, she said something profound. I stopped fighting what I cannot change. She explained that earlier she would cry, complain, and compare her life with others. Over time, she realized that resistance only doubled her pain. The day she accepted her circumstances, her suffering reduced dramatically. Her life did not change, but her experience of life did. Acceptance does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop arguing with reality. The body will weaken, energy will reduce, people will behave according to their priorities, not your expectations. When these truths are accepted deeply, emotional peace follows naturally. Most mental stress in old age comes from statements like this should not have happened or they should behave differently. Acceptance replaces these thoughts with this is how life is right now. There is immense freedom in acceptance. You conserve energy that would otherwise be wasted on resentment and complaint. That energy can then be used for gratitude, reflection, and calm living. Accepted pain hurts less than resisted pain. Accepted loneliness feels lighter than complained loneliness. Accepted limitations feel manageable. Acceptance also brings humility. You stop seeing life as something that owes you comfort. Instead, you see life as a journey that gave you experiences, lessons, and growth. This perspective transforms disappointment into maturity. Many elders who live peacefully are not those with perfect families, but those with realistic understanding of life. When acceptance becomes natural, comparison ends. You stop measuring your life against others. You realize every life unfolds differently. Some have companionship, some have solitude, some have health, some have wisdom. Peace comes when you respect your unique path. In old age, acceptance is not giving up on life. It is embracing life fully exactly as it is. And when you accept life without bitterness, life responds with unexpected calm. That calm becomes the foundation of true peace. 3. A sense of purpose. Purpose is not connected to age. It is connected to relevance. Many people believe that retirement means withdrawal from meaningful contribution. In reality, the moment a person stops feeling useful, emotional decline begins. In old age, purpose becomes more important than productivity. You may not be earning money, but you can still create value. Purpose gives you a reason to wake up with interest instead of obligation. I once met an elderly man who volunteered at a small library in his neighborhood. He helped children with reading and homework every evening. When asked why he did this despite poor health, he smiled and said, "As long as someone waits for me, I feel alive." That feeling of being needed kept his spirit young, even when his body felt tired. Purpose does not need a grand stage, it only needs sincere intention. Purpose can take many forms: caring for plants, teaching skills, mentoring younger people, helping neighbors, writing memories, or even maintaining discipline in daily life can be deeply meaningful. Purpose gives structure to time. Without it, days feel long and empty. With it, even simple routines feel fulfilling. In old age, people often feel invisible. Society celebrates youth and speed. Purpose counters this invisibility by reminding you that your presence still matters. When you focus on contributing instead of complaining, emotional strength increases. Purpose shifts attention away from personal loss toward collective benefit. A sense of purpose also protects mental health. Depression often arises when people feel they no longer matter. Purpose restores dignity. It reminds you that experience has value, wisdom has relevance, compassion has impact. You may not run fast, but you understand deeply. Purpose also reduces dependence. When your happiness depends solely on people visiting or calling, disappointment becomes frequent. When your happiness depends on meaningful action, peace becomes internal. Purpose makes solitude productive instead of painful. Importantly, purpose in old age should be gentle, not exhausting. It should energize, not pressure. The goal is not achievement but contribution. Even listening patiently to someone can be a purpose. Even praying for others can be a purpose. When life gives fewer roles, purpose creates a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as retired, lonely or aging. You see yourself as useful, engaged and alive. And when purpose guides your days, peace follows naturally regardless of who is around you. 4. Relationship with the higher power. As life progresses, one realization becomes unavoidable. Everything temporary eventually leaves. Relationships, possessions, strength, and even identity change with time. In old age, this realization becomes deeply personal. That is why a relationship with the higher power becomes a source of immense peace. This relationship is not about rituals alone. It is about trust, surrender, and inner connection. I once met an elderly widow who lived alone in a small house. She had limited income and declining health, yet her face carried calm confidence. When asked where she found strength, she replied, "I stopped asking why and started trusting who." That trust freed her from fear. She believed that life was not random and that she was never truly alone. Faith provides emotional security when worldly support weakens. People may forget, circumstances may fail, but the sense that something greater is watching over you creates deep reassurance. This connection reduces anxiety about the future. You stop trying to control outcomes and start accepting guidance. A relationship with the higher power also helps in letting go. Old age demands letting go of control, expectations, and attachment. Faith makes this process gentler. You learn to hand over worries instead of carrying them endlessly. Surrender does not mean passivity,